Are you a current virtual assistant who's ready to scale your business into a full-blown virtual assistant agency? Well, if so, you are in the right place. I am going to be dishing out all the details on how you can scale your VA business to a six-figure agency here inside of this video. Stay tuned. My name's Abbey Ashley. I am the founder of The Virtual Savvy, and here on my YouTube channel, we talk all things virtual assistants. Whether you are in the startup phase, just finding out what virtual assistants is, the growing phase, really focusing on marketing and really starting to get those first few clients, or if you're in the scaling phase and you are ready to start making 6 and even 7 figures from your VA business, you are in the right place. Make sure that you subscribe to this channel and hit the bell to be notified every time I release new content, because that's what we're talking about right here. If you're ready to scale your one-man show or one-woman show to a full-blown agency, I'm going to give you the details on how to do that right here inside of this video. Now, this is not just something that I've done myself. This is something that we have taught over and over to our high-level students. Take Erica, for example, who went ahead and grew a team of subcontractors to now she's making over $10,000 a month without having to do any of the actual client work in her business. Or Thais, who niched down to working with roofers and just had her first $1 million year. We love celebrating with our students, and one of the ways that you can scale your income in your virtual assistant business without working more hours is by growing an agency. So let's talk about the steps you'll need to take if this is what you want to do. I will go ahead and preface, if you are brand new to the virtual assistants world, this is a little bit of a higher level video. So I do have plenty of videos I will put in the description on how to get started as a virtual assistant, which may be a little bit more relevant to you. I have 6 steps to share with you today on how you can take your solo business to a virtual assistant agency. Let's start with step number 1. Choose your services. Now, if you are already a general virtual assistant, you may have already niched down. Usually a virtual assistant, if you decide to niche, is going to niche down either by service, industry, or both. Service means that rather than just doing general admin services, I'm niching down to Pinterest management or websites or project management. Whatever your niche may be, you could niche down by service. The second way to niche down is to niche down by industry. Maybe you are a virtual assistant that only works with roofing contractors like Thais, or maybe you have niched down to only work with real estate agents. You could decide to niche down your business by industry. And the third way to niche down is to niche down by service and industry. For instance, I'm only going to do Instagram management for authors. Now, you don't have to niche down in order to grow an agency. You can continue to offer many different services to many different people. But I will say, if you're going ahead and kind of deciding to go this route, I would consider possibly who are the clients you love working with, or what are the services that you love doing. Because if you're able to niche down to a specific service or a specific set or subset of services, it really will help you to do what I like to call a productized offer. A productized offer is simply when you go from saying, what can I do for you, to saying, this is what I do and this is how I work. You can see how it definitely immediately positions you as an expert to have a productized offer. So if I was offering Pinterest management services, I wouldn't say, how would you want me to run your Pinterest? I would say, hey, I have a 6-step process for how we're going to increase your website traffic using Pinterest. Here are the 6 steps that we take, and there includes an onboarding system. It includes going ahead and really giving you this proven strategy that I know works. What does that do? Of course, it positions you as an expert. What it also does, though, is gives you a repeatable system. You see, a productized service means that I'm not doing something custom for every single client. It means I'm saying, hey, this is the way I work, and 90% of what I'm doing is just repeatable. I'm doing for every client. Now, 10% is still going to be customizable, right? You need to go ahead and work within your client's brand and their brand voice and maybe some of the things that they really want for their brand. However, you're the experts here. So if you're building a website, hey, I build 7-page websites for health owners that help increase their conversions. Here's my process. And once you do that, you're actually able to systematize what you do. And what happens when you systematize, it's easier to outsource. So we're going to talk about building a team, which is something you will need if you're building an agency. And one of the best ways to do that is to choose your services and possibly productize those services so that you're offering something that is fairly repeatable to all of your clients. Repeatable, productized services are more scalable. All right, step number 2, if you're going to be growing an agency, is to evaluate your current rates. You have to really ask yourself, are my rates high enough in order to start paying a team? And it really depends on how much your operating expenses currently are, how much you want to be bringing home. And then you can do the math to kind of figure out how many clients you would need and how many subcontractors you would need in order to make your income goals a reality. Now, as a general rule of thumb, if you're going to have a team, I would recommend that your rates are high enough that you can pay around 30% of your total rate to a subcontractor. For instance, if I was doing really high-end copywriting and charging $60 an hour, I'd want to make sure that I could actually afford to pay my people between maybe $15 and $20 an hour in order to help me with those copywriting services. This can work not just with hourly services, but with project-based services as well. If I'm building a website and telling it to you for $5,000, I want to make sure that my team, that what I'm actually paying people to help me is maybe around that $1,500 mark. And that's going to help me really keep my expenses in check and know that I have enough at the end of the day to pay out taxes out of my profit and still have an income myself. So it's definitely not a hard and fast rule. That 30% is a really good starting place though for how much you should be paying your contractors. Step number 3 is to decide on your structure. And I hope you're catching the trend here that my goal here is not just to give you all a cookie cutter business, because what you decide is your freedom life may look different than somebody else's. The type of business that you want to build should look like a reflection of you and your personality. So when I say decide on your structure, you get to decide, do you want to continue to work with clients? Are you going to be like Erica, who I mentioned earlier in the video, who doesn't do any client work anymore, just really cultivates her team and focuses on marketing her business? Or maybe you still want to work hands-on with clients and you just want to outsource everything else, right? Maybe you want to have a team of subcontractors that they pass the work on to you, and then you aren't actually doing the work for your clients, but you're passing it off to your client and being that final QA check before it goes on to them. There's no right or wrong way to do this. You just need to decide, what do you want this to look like? And it might morph over time. So you might bring on your first subcontractor. You kind of act as that middleman, that buffer, so your client is never directly talking to the VA. But over time, if this subcontractor really works out and you can trust them with your clients, then maybe you break that barrier and they could communicate directly with your clients. It really depends on what you want to do. Either way, I will note, whatever you decide your structure is going to be, I am a big fan of being transparent. So letting your clients know that it's not just you and your business, that you let them know that you are working with a team. This can be in your contract and your messaging. I think that is actually a benefit to small business owners to be working with a team. If it's just me, you are working with just me. So if I have a sick day, I'm not working. By having a team, it also allows you to have different experts. It allows you to have different checks and balances so they are getting the best possible product at the end and not just completely relying on me, my hours, my availability, my skills. So there's a lot of aspects of working with a team that you can position to the small business owner. Hey, this is a benefit to you. But again, I would recommend being totally transparent with whatever you decide that process is going to be. All right, quick break. What have we learned so far? I would love to know in the comments, what's one thing that you have gleaned already from this video? Do you think that you're ready to start taking these steps toward building a virtual assistant agency? I'd love to know in the comments. Step number 4 is to hire that first subcontractor, and congratulations. This is a huge step, and I know it can be a scary step for some. I would just go ahead and like to relieve your fears that this is scary for everyone. Actually bringing somebody else into the business, especially if you're a control freak like myself or perfectionist, whatever you want to call it, it can be difficult to hand off some of that client work. I recommend starting slow and knowing that there's going to be mistakes made on your behalf and the behalf of the subcontractor along the way. Don't throw in the towel at that first mistake. It's okay. Keep going. If your first subcontractor doesn't work out, it doesn't mean that this whole thing is a flop. It just means that you've learned about what now you're looking for more in your next subcontractor. I definitely love having a team, and it is so worth the difficulty and that friction, because once it works, it is magical. I remember the very first time that I got paid an invoice that I had done no actual work for. I was actually pushing my daughter on the swing. My newborn son was in a stroller beside me, and I got a notification on my phone that an invoice had been paid that I hadn't even done the work for. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is it. Like, I am getting paid to not even work in my business. And it was just light bulbs went off and I knew that this was a path that I wanted. So even though there can be headaches with a team at times and there can be friction getting started, it is so, so worth it. So don't be discouraged. A couple of quick notes about hiring that first subcontractor. You want to make sure you have a contract. We can't stress this enough. Having a contract in your business between you and your client and between you and your subcontractor is so, so important. If you don't have these contracts, we do have them available in our store. You can click the link below to access that. But I do recommend having a contract. Your subcontractor should, in theory, have a contract themselves. But if they don't, we have one that you guys can work together to use. You just want to make sure that you have both signed a contract so you know what your working terms are. As you hire this first subcontractor, if you don't already have a project management system, I would definitely start looking into different types of project management systems. You can decide what's going to work best for you. If that's going to be Asana or ClickUp or Trello, whatever you decide, there's a ton of different versions out there. I will link a video of some of my favorite tools for virtual assistants below, but it is really, really helpful to keep not only your clients' projects in some kind of a project management system, but if you have a project management tool where you can assign tasks and deadlines to a subcontractor as well, that's going to work really, really well for you. And it's a good transition to start making as you hire that first subcontractor. Step number 5 is to develop a meeting rhythm. Now, even if it's just you and your business, I actually think this is something that everyone should do. There are a series of meetings that you'll want in your business. The first is just an annual meeting. So you can do this anytime throughout the year. Once you're doing it annually, I usually do it at the end of the year, around end of October or early November. And that's basically where you just plan out the whole next year. It can change, of course, but how can you get to a destination if you don't know where you're going? So go ahead and make a plan of where you're going. How much income would you want to make in your business? What would you like your team size to be? What services are you going to offer? Are you going to change your services at any point throughout the year? What kind of promotions are you going to do? What kind of visibility and marketing are you going to do? Go ahead and plan that out. Put it in some kind of a calendar inside of ClickUp or inside of your project management tool so you know where you're going and you start setting some goals for the year. Now, once you set those annual goals, I would definitely do a quarterly check-in as well. This is usually a half-day meeting for us where we really just dive in and decide, okay, now that we have this big annual goal, how do we chunk this out into quarterly goals that are going to build toward that big annual goal? This is where you just really break it apart and say, now how are we going to get there? What projects do we need to do? Who do we need to hire? What needs to happen in order for us to reach that annual goal? Once you have those quarterly goals, at the Virtual Savvy, we break that into a weekly meeting. This is just a checkpoint to see where are we at. Are we moving the ball? Are we actually on track to meet that quarterly goal? It's a touch point for us to get together. This is also where we do shout outs and celebrations for the week, making the announcements. It's just a 30-minute meeting once a week where we just make sure the entire team is on the same page. And the last is a daily meeting. Now for us, this is not an in-person or a video meeting. It is simply just a Slack check-in where everybody says, hey, here's the projects that I'm working on today. And if anybody needs help, they can go ahead and put that in Slack. We call it our daily huddle. And so that's really just to keep the pulse on the day-to-day. You don't need to be meeting with your entire team on a day-to-day basis, but making sure you're having some kind of quick touch point is really, really beneficial. So we do that in the way of a daily huddle via Slack where everyone just posts the projects that they're going to be working on that day. Now, the very last step is to go out and get more clients to fill this beautiful pipeline that you've created. You have your productized services, you have some help in the business, you are set up with a project management tool, you have those goals and your meeting rhythms. It is time to go out and get more higher level clients. There are tons of ways to do this, and this is one of the top things that we teach inside of Savvy Circle, which is our 12-month coaching program for virtual assistants kind of stuck at those $2,000-$3,000 months who want to scale to $10,000 months. If you're looking to build a virtual assistant agency, this is the program for you. We not only teach you the higher level marketing, but we're going to help you choose your high-end service, help you actually develop those systems for managing your team. We're going to help you with your financials and your metrics to make sure that you have the margins to keep that sustainable team. And we're going to help you build that marketing flywheel that's going to keep clients coming to you consistently. If you are interested in that, you can go to thesavvycircle.com to apply. It is an application-only program, but we would love to see if you are a good fit. All right, friends, that's all that we have for you today. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I can't wait to see you next time. Bye, Savvies.